Thank you to everyone who has joined us this evening for this very special event in our new museum. All of you have, in one way or another, enabled this project, a unique endeavour which has brought to life a new museum of music that sits at the heart of the RCM's newly developed campus. Together you have helped us to write the next chapter of the RCM's evolution, and I thank you all. This museum is London's newest museum, and the only museum of music in the unique area of South Kensington, with its unrivalled offer of arts and culture. A significant grant from the National Lottery Heritage Fund supported this transformational development, and we must thank them as the first of our founding patrons to the new RCM Museum. Other founding patrons to the More Music campaign and building development that match to this grant include Rena Sandro Lavery for the Rena Sandro Lavery Gallery, where we will be holding exhibitions. The Garfield Weston Foundation for the Weston Discovery Centre, where we will be able to deliver our rich programme of events for families. The Wolfson Foundation for the Wolfson Centre in Music and Material Culture, where we will be able to examine instruments, have space for researchers, and also store the instruments that have not yet made their way into the museum itself. And finally, Her Serene Highness Princess Heidi von Hohenzollern for the Urs Reist Learning Space, where you will be able to contemplate the wonders of the museum panoramically. I want to thank them all for their most generous philanthropy. I also wish to thank all donors who have contributed to this momentous project and to the purchase of works of art displayed in the new museum. Dasha Schenkman, Jane Wilson, the Art Fund, the V&A Purchase Fund, the Manny and Brigitta Davidson Foundation, and the Pilgrim Trust. We can't wait to welcome public visitors from October 2021, and tonight we're giving you a sneak preview to show you some of the jewels that await your in-person visit this autumn. Over the summer, we'll present digital content to engage wider audiences and build awareness in advance of the physical opening in October. Please help us to deliver a global impact for our new museum. Wherever you are in the world, you can watch performances and talks on YouTube, follow behind-the-scenes activities and temporary exhibitions on social media, and use the interactive resources on the Royal College of Music website. I hope you enjoy this digital preview event and that it allows you a sense of how special our new museum is. I'm delighted that the museum offers a wonderful intimate space for music making. For musical instruments were made to be heard. And I'd now like to present our first performance of the evening. Handel's Trio Sonata in F Major, Opus 2 No. 4, performed by RCM students Natasha Pickler, Nick Dre and Apolline Koo, and Chair and Head of Historical Performance at the RCM, Professor Ashley Solomon.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, my name is Gabriele Rossi Rognoni and I am Chair of Music and Material Culture and Curator of the Museum here at the Royal College of Music. I am sincerely thrilled to give you a warm welcome at our new museum after over 4 years of redevelopment generously supported by the National Lottery Heritage Fund and by many of you. Some of you might remember our previous museum, which had been built in the 1970s thanks to the efforts of RCM alumna Elizabeth Wells. It was a pioneering building at the time, but had become unfit for its purpose after 50 years. Ideas about the role of historical heritage have changed dramatically since that time, and the college needed a new structure that could support our ambitions to unlock the full potential of our collections for research, public engagement, and education. The RCM holds some of the most extensive and comprehensive collections anywhere in Britain that focus on music in general and modern British music in particular. These include some 2 million items spanning from manuscripts and early editions to musical instruments, paintings, sculptures, and memorabilia. They are managed and made available through our library and museum, whose entrances have been brought together facing each other as part of the more music redevelopment of the college. The museum in particular manages over 15,000 items spanning over more than 5 centuries, including masterpieces such as the earliest surviving guitar in the world, the earliest stringed keyboard instrument, and the most famous portraits of Joseph Haydn and of the celebrated castrato singer Farinelli. The more music redevelopment of the college's estates gave us the opportunity to rethink the role of the collections for the college and for visitors on site and online. A vast number of potential users with which we want to connect through the many stories transmitted by our objects, the opportunities for individual and collaborative research, temporary exhibitions, performances, and educational activities for all age groups and backgrounds. However, such an ambitious plan could only be delivered with the appropriate infrastructures. For this reason, the new museum is articulated in 4 distinct but interconnected spaces designed to support permanent display and temporary exhibitions, formal and informal educational activities, performances, and research. The most striking space is our new permanent display area, which has been designed by ZMMA architects and is situated at the heart of the college, visible from the main entrance hall and open to the public 6 days a week. It includes some 60 items that cover more than 500 years of music history and is articulated in 3 areas which focus on the relationship between music, innovation, musicians, and makers. We want our museum to be as much about our collections as about the people who connected and will connect with them. And for this, we included a variety of traditional and digital media to bring our display to life and connect our objects to narratives that are relevant to and beyond the history of music. Sound is obviously a key element in the objects that we display in this museum, and including sound in the display has been one of our greatest challenges. As many as possible of the instruments that we have in our collections are kept in playing conditions and will be made available for performances and for teaching to our students. However, this is not possible for all of them, and certainly not throughout the extensive opening hours that we are planning for this space. Therefore, video recordings of the instruments will be available through handheld devices, projections and interactive screens, as well as through live performances, aiming to give our visitors a truly multisensory and interactive experience. Another key priority for us is to use our collections to connect our past with the present and future of music making. For this reason, contemporary music, art and objects all have a prominent space in our museum. I mentioned before how research is at the heart of the identity of our new museum. This takes many shapes, from supporting the work of external scholars to providing a stimulating environment for students' individual and collective projects, to advancing the knowledge of our collections and topics related to the growing field of music and material culture in general. A vital resource for this activity will be provided by the Wolfson Centre in Music and Material Culture, which will be launched at the beginning of the next academic year. This includes dedicated spaces for the digitization and study of our collections, for conservation, and for object-based learning for classes of up to 10 people. Almost 10,000 items from our collections are already available online through our own website and through the main digital repositories such as the Internet Archive, ArtUK, Mimo, and Google Arts and Culture. We are planning to increase our use of digital technologies to make the totality of our collections available within the next 3 years. The space is also fitted out with top-quality storage solutions that will enable us to bring back to the college thousands of items which are currently stored off-site. Several of our PhD students are already working in this specific area and using the resources provided by the Centre, and I very much hope that their number will substantially increase over the next years, strengthening the role of the RCM as a leader in research in the history and technology of musical instruments and in musical iconography. A museum like this is a hub, and a hub is only as good as the people which it is able to attract. It is my strongest wish that these new spaces will surprise us with the variety of people that will use them and connect through them. This has already been the case over the many years of preparations that are behind us, and I would like to thank the many people who were involved in getting to this point, from all the members of the RCM Museum team to all the colleagues and friends who have worked with us until now. Our doors will be open at the beginning of October 2021, and we hope to have you among the first visitors. And now, a performance that brings together the variety of our collections. Reiko Ishise and Isabel Isain will perform some music from the Division Viol by Christopher Simpson, whose first edition is held in our library collection and is on display in the museum. They will perform on two precious viols by Richard Mears and Baroque Norman, both from the golden age of British viol making, donated to the college by Jane Kessler in memory of her husband Dietrich.
My name is Isabel Sain. I play the viola da gamba or viol, and I'm currently a Masters of Performance student here at the Royal College of Music. I would definitely say that the best thing about being able to play the museum viols is being able to put into context all the music and interpretational and technical skills that we learn throughout the year. Being able to get hands-on on a historical instrument gives you a sense of awareness on what the performer had in his hands when he was composing a piece. You get to feel what he was feeling when he was composing, and then all the music makes sense. Then you realize why he was asking for certain dynamic here and then, and also why he was asking for certain fingers and why he was requesting certain things from the musician. So it's really wonderful having the chance to play the museum viols and really make and give a full historical performance. Playing this Richard Mears viol from 1680s is a big pleasure. It's really interesting, the sound, because when you play it, then you realize why the composer put some fingerings or did some digitations or asked you to play in a certain way. Everything makes sense, from the shape of the bridge to like the fingerboard. Everything comes very nicely together with the music, which is something we don't normally find when we are playing this music in other instruments. Having the chance to collaborate with the museum is really going to have a positive impact in the experience of all the students at the Royal College of Music, because we're going to be able to put all the music we learn into context, and it's going to allow us to get into the mind of the composers and feel ourselves what he had in his hands when they were composing the music that we play today. It's the cherry on top to the historical performance. I think the public is really going to enjoy having the chance to be part of a live experience of not just looking at the instruments exposed, but also listen to them played in a very unique way by RCM students. It has been such a great experience having the chance to rehearse and also to perform at the museum, especially with my teacher, Professor Reiko Ichise. We have been working for so long on pieces by this composer, and I've known these duos for almost my entire life, and being able to, at the end of the academic year, put all the effort and sweat that we have worked through for the entire year and channel it to make the best sound of these instruments is the best way to wrap up the year. And it has been such a wonderful experience to collaborate with the museum.
Hello, I'm Susana Caldeira, the Museum Conservator. All the instruments that are now on display came through the workshop, and I had the chance to prepare them for display. Two of the instruments that I worked on, which have a special place now for me, it's the clavicitherium, of course, for its a very rare instrument that has been much studied and much used to build on the history of keyboard, string keyboard making. To do its conservation brought up some responsibility on paying attention to every single detail. To do ethically and aesthetically and historically informed decisions, we used all reversible materials. So I believe that in less than half hour, anything that is on it that wasn't to start with can be removed without leaving any marks or evidences or altering the instrument. The other instrument that I worked on was the pochette with a fan. And again, we had to make informed decisions to replace elements that were missing. But I'm not so sure if the original had been exactly like that in terms of aesthetics. In terms of mechanism, probably yes. But sometimes we need to understand the power of conservation, on the power that it has for a museum, for a collection. To have it the way it was allowed us to reach much more people than it would have if we just had conserved the way it was and not replaced any missing parts. If asked if I'm pleased with all the work that I've done, well, I'm a conservator. I always see space for improvement. And I really look at the objects and feel happy that I was the one that had the chance to work on them. It's a teamwork with people from the RCM and outside of the RCM, and the contributions of so many people that so many years before I was even here or even alive already started to contribute with knowledge and information that allowed us to be where we are today.
Finally, I'd like to mention our public engagement program, which has been built over the past 4 years and includes special activities for school education, families, visitors with special needs, many of which delivered in partnerships with RCM Sparks. Many of these activities will take place in the welcoming environment of the Weston Discovery Centre and the Urs Reist Learning Space, where seminars, small classes and individual learning can all take place. This will be facilitated by our own team and by RCM students who can have here a precious opportunity to test and expand their skills in public education.
Hi, my name's Richard Martin and I'm the museum's Digital and Documentation Officer.
Hi, I'm Joyce Lam, the museum's Learning and Participation Officer. The museum is very passionate to reach out to a different audience and to bring music and heritage into the community. Apart from our plans for schools and families, we are also working with professional partners and RCM Sparks to develop projects for people living with dementia and their carers. During the redevelopment, the museum team worked beyond the physical space and had developed programs such as Museum Roadshow to engage the community. With this story behind us, we will continue to improve the accessibility of the collections to the public. Social media is an important element of the museum's outreach strategy to connect with diverse audience and museum peers internationally. The museum's Twitter account is a friendly and educational platform for us to connect you with the museum's latest news, objects in the museum's collections, and musical stories. It is a channel for us to celebrate the history and development of music together.
The use of digital technology has been really important for our development. We're really fortunate to have a number of historic instruments in the collection which are still playable, and it's important that visitors can enjoy the sound of those objects as well as being able to enjoy the visual aspects of them when visiting the museum. So we have a new audio and interactive guide which visitors will be presented with on arrival, and that enables them to hear the wonderful sounds and historic impact of these instruments. Our new manuscript interactive will allow visitors to virtually explore manuscripts from the RCM collections by the likes of Mozart, Chopin and Haydn, and to learn about the special and unique features and notation of each composer's handwritten scores. Although we're a museum that shares stories about music of the past, we're also sharing ideas about music of the future and how advances in technology shape the methods and sound in music creation. So our collection of contemporary instruments will be usable by visitors and students so that they can explore some of the latest directions in this area. Visitors will even be able to take their own composition home with them at the end of the visit, thanks to our new interactive composition wall, which uses movement and gestures to create a unique composition for each visitor by performing the different methods and techniques and gestures used in playing real-life instruments.
Another key priority for us is to use our collections to connect our past with the present and future of music making. For this reason, contemporary music, art and objects all have a prominent space in our museum. Visitors are welcomed in the gallery by a video art composition created by two of our alumni, while an energizing sculpture by Glaswegian artist Victoria Morton crowns the display, projecting our narrative into the 21st century. We very much hope that these, together with advanced technologies installed in the gallery, will inspire performers and composers to push the boundaries of what can be done in a museum environment.
Hi there, I'm Matthew Lomax. I'm a contemporary composer and I'm one of the artists who worked on Through Fractured Mirrors. Through Fractured Mirrors is a digital installation for the entranceway of the Royal College of Music's new museum. It's an abstraction of light and sound trying to play upon the contemporary and the historical exhibitions that are on offer at the museum. What inspired the music for Through Fractured Mirrors was trying to capture what the museum embodied as a space, a juxtaposition of the contemporary and the historical, both in its collections and then as a live performance space. The music was also inspired by the space that it's going to be performed in. The entranceway is such an interesting place. It's kind of like the threshold between the exhibitions and then also the rest of the college, which is such a lively place. When you're walking through the corridors, you'll hear performances and rehearsals, and we really wanted to capture that fragmented collage of different sound worlds colliding together. My collaborative partner is Conor Donetto, an Australian composer. When Conor and I were working on the visuals for Through Fractured Mirrors, we wanted to create an abstracted tapestry that reflected musical performance and how we play instruments. So what we did is we took the video footage from our musicians and we reflected it in different mediums, whether that was glass, metal, or plastic. This way we could move away from looking at a specific performer and instead look at the idea of movement in performance, which is something that historical and the contemporary have in common. As a recent graduate of the Royal College of Music, I think that the museum is a really good resource for all of the current students here, with the lobby in particular being really valuable for composition and composition for screen students who want to display their work. It's been really great to work with the museum team and engage with all of the resources that the museum has to offer to create a new piece of art. And I'm also really honoured that the museum has acquired this as their first piece of digital artwork for the collection.
Dasha, first of all, thank you very much for your generous support to making Victoria Morton's work possible. May I ask, what led you to the decision of supporting the creation of a contemporary work of art at the Royal College of Music Museum?
Well, I love the idea of combining disciplines, of multidisciplinary areas, and I think what Victoria's created has just lifted the whole feeling in this room of these beautiful musical instruments with great history and color and design and so on. And these really just bring out the shapes and colors of music. I always think when you have more than one discipline together, it somehow can help someone who's more interested in one to understand the other and vice versa. I just love the idea of the combination, and I think it works really well. She's just got it.
What do you think might happen in the future? Contemporary art is at the heart of what we want to develop through this museum, and do you think that there is a next step after this one?
Well, certainly in terms of activities, and I know you're going to have school children and so on and so forth coming in these various areas. This will be an impetus for them to dream up different things, you know, as they would if they were looking at anything. I mean, I think Victoria's work and these fabulous colors, it's like the colors and shapes of music just floating. So I just love the idea of combining different disciplines. For that reason, I think it does help not just to understand the individual discipline, but things you might not be expecting and to learn.
My name's Victoria. I'm a visual artist, and it's my usual practice would be to make exhibitions in a gallery space. So it's the day of the installation now. It's really exciting. There's been a lot of preparation behind the scenes to get to this point, and I've got a team of people here who've been involved in helping me make the work and helping with all the process of trying to visualise it in the space before getting here. So now that we're actually on the site, it's really good to see the pieces in the real space. There are challenges because it's really high up in the ceiling and it's quite a small space, so trying to sort of manipulate the scaffold around the sculptures, which are quite delicate, is a bit of a tricky job. They're hanging like static mobiles, so getting the strings in the correct place and having them all balanced requires a lot of concentration and fine-tuning. So really for me it's just kind of satisfying seeing it come together bit by bit. I think these will bring a lot of colour and movement to the space. You'll be able to wander around underneath and see the work from all different angles. when there's concerts happening here, it will be interesting because that will be like a focal point to reflect on while you're listening to the music. And I think there's quite a lot of different dimensions to the work that hopefully people will appreciate.
Thank you very much for being with us tonight, and I hope you enjoyed this sneak preview of our new museum and that you will come soon in person to visit. Historical performance and contemporary music will harmoniously coexist in our new museum, and it gives me great pleasure to finish our night with the performance of a new piece of music, Baroque Blues, by RCM composer Jack Marks, conducted by Fei Wong and performed by Professor Jane Chapman, Nick Drey, Hannah Parry, Thomas Pickering and Dominika Marcinska. Thank you very much and good night.